Okay, let's switch that one over to there and then bring it back here. Okay, so
double check that they can see this.
It's on. I can see it on the.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So I think we've got the correct slide. And yes, after lunch we're going to be talking about building complex transaction workflows in Drupal. It's presented as a case study, and we'll work from the more straightforward stuff through to the mind-blowingly complicated stuff at the end. So get ready for it. But first, introductions. So I'm Ekes, backend developer who's been working on LocalGov Drupal for almost the beginning, and I very often work with Agile. Simon, do you know?
Yeah, I'm Simon. I'm a developer at Agile Collective. I've been involved with LocalGov Drupal for a while since I joined, but prior to joining Agile Collective, I spent a very long time working at Oxfordshire County Council. We'll hand over to Pardeep.
Hi, this is Pardeep Singh from Walsall Council. Currently working on Drupal web forms and e-commerce challenges, I would say in close collaboration with Agile Collective. Yeah. Over to you, Ekes.
Yep. So the challenge basically is the whole story, and I think Pardeep, you want to introduce sure. What did Walsall really want?
Yeah, thank you so much. So as I said, we were working on Drupal web form. So if I talk about our existing system and challenges and the idea behind opting Drupal Commerce and LocalGov Drupal as a part of our solution, our existing system is DNN, which is acronymed for .NET Nuke, which we are going to retire very soon. Existing system was having everything. It was just expensive. Expensive not only with respect to capital, but also with respect to efforts and management. We were witnessing unexpected downtimes or some discrepancies when any update or any change happened at DNN level, which I think no one could ever anticipate. And more specifically, to achieve more out of DNN, we have had paid features like Plant an App, and that comes with annual subscription. This Plant an App brings together various DNN shop into cohesive environment to build complex workflows, APIs, and data models. But having said that, it is expensive. So now, considering our in-house technical strengths, future scopes, and keeping everything open source and apparently scalability, we were planning to switch to rich and robust open source system, and obviously Drupal. And the biggest challenge was this whole transformation and migration from DNN to Drupal. If I talk about expectations, we wanted to design and develop e-commerce system along with web forms, having features like product catalogs and their purchases. Products, logically, here are the services that people are purchasing. And this new system should have post-process services and mechanism. For example, what happened after services are being purchased or any forms are submitted, how to pass these service requests to the respective departments. And besides these commerce, we also wanted content modules and directories or general request form submissions, requiring some actions to be done. For example, reporting any street problems, family help web forms, or generic inquiries web forms. And technically, we were looking for something robust, flexible, e-commerce friendly, scalable, quick and easy to design. I would say static and dynamic web forms, and we should be following our design system and style guides. And Drupal and LocalGov Drupal was the answer then. Thank you, Ekes. I think
Yep, I will come back, and I'll come back to you with specific bits about specific forms in a second.
Sure.
Can you hear that? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the high-level overview. We'll start with the more simple stuff. I've written a little script to describe what these sort of complex transactional workflows are. We'll get onto the really complex ones later. But so I would like to get pre-planning advice about additional dwellings on some land.
How many properties are involved, sir?
20.
Or 10 or more is a major development. So that's major advice with 10 additional dwellings. Is this in a conservation area?
No.
Do you need an additional meeting?
Yes. And so on and so forth. And the questions that you'll get asked are different, and the kind of things you'll have to pay for at the end are different depending on the answers you've given. So everyone who's worked with Drupal will know there is one answer for doing quite a lot of this, which is Webform. If you've not come across it, it's extremely powerful because you can make conditional pages, you can make conditional questions, you can work through it quite quickly. What's already built is there out there, and there is already a LocalGov Forms module. I put the link in the Slack to the slides. The slides, actually, those things are all clickable, so you can actually go to the pages. You don't need to follow anything else. You can just pull the slides up on the web afterwards. Anyway, so that already exists, but there's quite a lot of the sort of GDS standard that isn't yet in LocalGov Forms, and specific things that Walsall wanted. So we're going to run through some of the things that were added. First one, check your answers. Oh, I put issue numbers on some of these. Tomorrow, if you want help, we can get these committed. The original code for this came from Greenwich, which is giving this GDS style, review your answers and then change your answers going back. But then Pardeep has extended it slightly further. So do you want to say what other challenges there were for this one and what's in the code that we should get merged?
Yeah, sure. This is basically already a form preview feature, which is by default available in web forms, but that is very basic. You just have a plain, simple layout showing values which user submits in a web form submission journey. The problem we face is just scatters and is inconsistent when we design complex web forms, which includes pages with field sets, containers, tables, or composites. And to achieve consistency and professional look and feel, we modified this pre-processed web form elements to make sure everything at a preview page should be neat and tidy and with obviously consistency. For example, by default, it displays either values as ordered list or unordered list, but it just scatters, as I said, when complex field or elements or come into existence. So it does look unprofessional. So with our new update, we did manage to keep styling consistent. For example, as in your screen, you can see there's an about you composite. It's just a custom composite having a capacity to carry n number of fields organized in it. And as you can see, the values inside the composite is well organized in the tabular form, having an option called change at the very right side of it. And even if we want to change the look and feel back to tabular or horizontal or ordered list or unordered list, the option is still there in the setting. We didn't modify that. So if I talk about, as Ekes talk about the future scope, there's a better option to shift this whole design logic to form review module in LocalGov Forms and making this design system available for other councils. Currently, it stays in our local system in our Webform module, but we can make it available for others to pull and use. Over to you, Ekes.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, and I'll just for the benefit of people here, switch back here. Yeah, I'll just briefly mention the experience with composites. If people don't know what composites are, it's a very good way of having reusable bits on web forms. So like the about you section, which is asking for full name, phone number, and so forth, has been turned into a composite. And you can switch on and off different fields specifically on the form, but you then have this central point where you can update them all. However, the way that Webform puts them onto the form makes life really difficult when you're doing customizations and it's messy. So powerful, but painful. Just a side effect. So I've mentioned it while we're in passing. So date field presentation, very simple. It's the GDS style. It's been tidied up. We have an issue. We just need someone to review it. It can go in. That's a nice, simple, quick win tomorrow. Let's get there. GDS error messages. So there's the wording of a standard GDS error message is just different. It's not such and such a field is required. It's, you know, enter a full name or things like that. And we've written a best guess version of enter upload field name instead. It kind of works. It'll be good to get in. You can switch it on and off. And if you want better error messages, you just have to write them into the web form yourself. But another one, it's there, it's ready to go in, along with the optional field labels. Don't know if you've noticed GDS style. Instead of having staff are required, it says brackets, optional, close brackets. This is really simple. You could just type it in, but of course, then you have conditional fields. So they're required until some JavaScript happens somewhere else on the form, and someone's checked something else, or they checked several other things, and then you need to change whether it's shown as optional or not. And then people change the themes on their forms, and they put them in different. Anyway, it's pretty robust by now. Can we get it merged? So that's another one. And yeah, you can turn, like I say, you can set it as a default, and then you can turn it on and off. That's the configuration form. Right, and we'll go back over to Pardeep for a couple of these. I don't know the best way of doing this. Shall I just introduce all three of them, and then Pardeep can come in because you can see them. So one of them is the tracker subtitle. So this is one of the Walsall editions, so that they can add in what a subtitle onto that tracker bar that says how far you are through. Another one is on that preview page. We were talking about the GDS preview page. There's some checkboxes that say you have to accept and say you've done these things. So it comes on at the bottom with the custom error message. And this is probably one everyone wants, reference number. And so at the end, you can say the application's commit. You know, you've seen it on Gov sites with the full reference number. Pardeep, was there anything you wanted to add in about, because they were definitely all written inside by Walsall, well, you, or, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. So as you clearly highlighted all these three new options that we designed, I would like to include something about tracker subtitle. It is actually a new feature specifically designed for our web forms. We made a third-party settings in our Drupal web form system. Currently in a Drupal web form, we only have main web form title, but there is no option to create subtitles for each web forms, which actually it's difficult to maintain the hierarchy of the web forms. For example, if we have one product and there's a product variations and the child variations in it, so we don't know at which particular stage we are at currently. So using this, we can create customized tracker, I would say customized tracker subtitles. It displays subtitles below the main form title, as you have displayed in your presentation. It also supports not only just support plain text. It is also a dynamic way to do that, and it supports tokens and pre-populated parameters or any web form submission tokens, as I said. And by default, it is empty, and then obviously it won't display anything in the web form. So this helps in, as I said, in maintaining the hierarchical understanding of web forms. So logically, we can display static and dynamic subtitles in each web form. And if I talk about the preview declaration that Ekes mentioned, this feature enables user to declare the terms and conditions before submission, making it required for user to check it before making any final decision of payment or any web form submission. So, but there is also an option to declare all these terms and conditions in a separate page before going to the preview page. That option is also available, and the preview page will have only short form title for those conditions. Talking about this reference number, it is a must-needed feature for any kind of e-commerce thing, because for every web form submission, user needs to be acknowledged with a reference number for further tracking of the progress of their applications. This settings also stays at third-party settings of each web form. And at UI level, we made it implementation very easy. Developer just needs to tick this checkbox. You can see in the screenshot attached in the presentation that developer just need to just tick this checkbox besides generate Walsall reference number, and it just automatically fetches the submission number from the backend and displays at UI. And from this particular reference number, the user can track the progress of its application or anything that he wants the services to be served. Yeah, that's it, Tim or Ekes.
Cool. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. So I switched the slide back. And so those last three are currently in some Walsall custom code. So if you'd like to help us remove it from the custom module, I think it should be relatively straightforward, except maybe for some of the preview stuff. Something to do tomorrow, isn't it? But we can pull that code out and share it. And yeah, hopefully we can get it in. So that was the web form end of it. But we've just been talking about the fact that, yeah, so depending on how many properties there are, you're paying a different price and all the rest of it. And as in the earlier introduction, it was, yeah, commerce. It was commerce that was wanted. So I can't find my mouse. And then, of course, there's actually what happens when the prices change, because we could have just put all the prices into the web forms, but the prices change, and several of the web forms actually represent this. Like when you're doing the pre-planning, you might actually add a meeting later and so forth. So you want to be able to update the prices once in one place. There's VAT as well. And they actually want historical pricing so that you can actually be transparent about what the prices were at different times. So what were the prices last year? And you can show lists of pricing. And of course, you've got to have a payment gateway. So I know this, scare quite a lot of people. Usually we added commerce to Drupal. It's worth saying this is a standalone site that is just for all the transactional stuff. So it's got web forms, commerce, and the process stuff that we'll talk about if we get to time at the end. Anyway, so quickly, commerce is actually very good. It is just a lot of ecosystem in one box. It's got products. So here's a screenshot of the products, and you can see like there's the site visit, the conservation pre-planning, the additional cost of uploading an additional document, the cost per dwelling, etc., etc. This is a product you can just about see at the bottom. It's even got the Oracle code. And the Oracle code is then linked to a taxonomy term, which knows what the VAT for the Oracle code is, and it will then pull up and set the correct VAT on it. It just uses a VAT resolver in commerce for people who have actually done that kind of stuff before. Price lists. So this solved that problem. If you've done any commerce, a commerce product has a list price. This is not the list price. This is a price list. If that made no sense to you, just bear it in mind if you ever do. You'll know what I mean. So they can upload CSVs for this year's prices for all the products in one go, and it will set the prices for the next year. You can set the start date and end date. You can actually do a hell of a lot more things with price lists, but for the purposes of this, that's good enough. And it means each tax year, you can upload a new set of prices just by uploading the CSV, and you can show the price lists historically. Nice and simple. And payment gateway, the other basic requirement. Luckily, commerce makes it really easy to write plugins for payment gateways. So Walsall have got Pay 360, but it's wrapped in their own wrapper. So we had to write a plugin, but the plugins are very simple. It's particularly for off-site ones. On-site ones are slightly more thing to write. Okay, so that was your quick delve into commerce. But how do we get commerce and web form to talk to each other? Well, not that one. So what we've got, these are the products actually as they're displayed. That's literally just commerce products. And then I go into my form and I can see do I want the additional meeting or a virtual meeting, and I'll select them and it will put it into the cart, the additional meeting. And so I say I've got 10 existing dwellings and 40 additional dwellings, so that it knows that it then needs to put 30 dwellings in and so forth. And there you get the cost overview. And it has put, 1 times development of 10 additional dwellings, planning meeting, works out the total. And yeah, then you check out and pay. And that was all done with something called Commerce Web Form Order module. It's just a handler. Here it is. So it was already written. We've uploaded, we've had at least 1 patch added to it to get it a little bit better. But so for people who haven't used web form, it allows you to put handlers at the end. Common thing is to send an email to the person. So once they've filled in the form, you send them a copy of the form. Another common one actually is get all the form data and stick it into a CRM somewhere else where we're going to deal with it. But in this case, we're dealing with it and we're doing the process, which we'll talk about in a sec. This one will just take all the items that you've worked out and push them into an actual order cart. And then we've done a little bit, and maybe we want to make this public if people are interested in doing this more often. So there's a couple of custom form items that will actually pull up details about the products so you can show them on the web form itself, as well as once you push it into a cart. Okay, so last bit. So that was the commerce bit. But
yeah, so I think Pardeep gave us an introduction, and there were a number of things that they wanted to do. So this idea of having a process, an end-to-end transaction, the kind of conversation Ekes and I were just having, where there's a back and forth. It's not necessarily clear when you go to the form exactly what you need to pay for. So there are some gaps in what Webform can do. It's very good at kind of one-shot putting a submission, but not so good in what do you do if you need to follow up on that.
So, next conversation. I'd like to apply for parking dispensation.
Where would that be and what dates?
Outside Wanakesi Avenue, between the 1st and 3rd of March.
Oh, I need to review and either approve or deny this. I'll approve it. This is an on-road parking dispensation that needs to be paid for.
I receive an email with a link to go and pay for on-road parking dispensation between such and such a date. But yeah, this has had to go. It can't be on the web form. It has to go into a process thing where you can set the state, have the right person review it, all that kind of stuff, and more.
Yeah, great. So what we did is we built a custom entity. So it's a process entity. It's a bundle, entity bundle. That's the right way around, isn't it? So essentially, yes, the high-level process custom entity is defined, and that has entity references to web forms and orders. It also uses a state machine to control the state of the process. So if you think about all the steps you go through in a process, from submitting it, reviewing it, approving it, payment processing, that's all handled via state transitions, which are great because that allows you to hook a load of stuff onto that if you want to power more stuff. So effectively, this gives you a kind of a workflow, something to hang this end-to-end transaction on. Wrong way. So how do the forms integrate with the process entity? So again, it is another handler. So you can see there is an add to process handler there, which does a bunch of the logic. You tell it what's this web form, what process is it related to. There's a few more settings around whether this can be a process initiator or just attach itself to an existing process. All of the permissioning is done via groups. So you attach a process to a group, and then everything inherits the group relationship from that. So effectively, all of this is permission. So in the council, you'll have lots of different teams. They don't all need to see each other's work.
So because people probably can't read them at a distance, the first 3 groups that have been created are planning, taxi licensing, and parking. Yeah. And so the specific things go into those groups. The appropriate people who should be able to see the submissions are members of those groups.
And I think the next slide is the service dashboard. So this gives people a summary view of all of the process entities for the area they're dealing with. So this example is parking, if you can't see. So they can see each process instance. It's got that Walsall reference in there. They can see when it was created, the last interaction. They can see if it's assigned to somebody. And there is another kind of plugin for pulling the right people from the right groups to allow assigning to other users in Drupal. And then where you can control the state machine. So you can approve it, you can reject it. There may be other options as you need and have configured. So going into that, you can see the view of the process. You can see if there are web forms. You can see if there's multiple web forms. It should have an accordion that allows you to see each one that's been done. And the same for orders.
And so the 2 buttons at the top are the approve and reject. And
yes, a nice little modal. This is a trick Ekes came up with for getting this to display like this. But it allows a very quick way of just saying, yeah, I'm going to approve it. Dates, I can add a bit more information, a bit more stuff I'm going to send in the email.
I was going to say, yeah, so there's compulsory fields that you have to make sure are filled in before you can do the state transition. I can talk about the technology behind it afterwards. And yes, and then the reject one, same thing, but a rejection notice, which kindly gets emailed directly to the person. So be polite. Okay. So what next?
Well, there is, yeah, obviously there's a bunch of things that have been flagged that would be great to get into LocalGov Webform tomorrow. That are well on their way. But yeah, also would be interested to know, is anybody interested looking at thinking of using commerce? Is there a use case there for other people? Because we can share the code that was created. Yeah, as Ekes has alluded to, commerce is very big ecosystem, but you can do a lot with it. But the other thing is this, the work we've been doing around the process entities, that seems like it might have more use. It's not going to replace your CRM or line of business systems, but when you have a process where there isn't a natural home for it elsewhere, I know quite a lot of councils have bought systems just to kind of fill that gap. Yeah, we can do it in Drupal, and it needs a fair bit of polish before you let content editors set it up. But it'd be great to get people's thoughts on that and how we make it more user friendly.
Okay, so yep, and we're with 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. Are there questions?
Yeah, I'm interested in the fact that you've chosen to use commerce. 'Cause what we've been doing at Greenwich, we've been looking at payments with just a module for handling payments integration. So wondering what the main motivation was for using commerce versus that approach of just a payments integration, and also wondering, does that impact on the front end in any way? Would the users kind of see like a traditional sort of shopping cart based workflow, or have you been able to kind of abstract that out on the front end?
Okay, I'll give one of the answers, and Pardeep might also have some additional things. Well, first of all, was the thing about being able to maintain all the prices in the same place and the CSV uploading of price lists. There was actually even the desire to show products that cannot be bought online. So actually just to have a product catalog. So it wouldn't be, there is no default kind of commerce view. If you do commerce kickstart, which is the kind of install profile, then you get an Amazon type of thing. If you just install commerce, you've got to build what it looks like yourself. So all of that were kind of the primary reasons, I think. Can you think of anything else, Pardeep?
Yeah, sure. To answer it, to give an answer for a layman, I would say the system that we designed is actually a mixture of logic for CRM plus e-commerce. So it's unlike generic e-commerce system where the products are tangible one and products are being delivered to the doorsteps, so we're providing delivery. Here the products are basically the services that somebody is trying to achieve via the portal. So but for any generic e-commerce system, the backend process is to deliver just to deliver the product, refund or repurchases would be there. But for our existing case, it's like the main challenge was to design a backend pre-process as well. So so that comes there comes the logic of CRM here. So that there I would say for the product catalog display or for the backend logic, we had to tweak a lot of things into it just to make it as a mixture or the byproduct of CRM plus e-commerce plus, I would say, yeah, the backend process. So I hope I answer your question.
But yeah, the bit of commerce you actually see is minimal, to the point that you don't even see the shopping cart. It would actually be better if you submitted the form and then saw the shopping cart coming directly from commerce. But the choice from the UX people in Walsall was actually, you see the cart before you finish the form even, and then it just whooshes you straight out. But all the back-end management of all the products, you've got all of that for free, basically, because it's already been written.
So I just wanted to briefly just check in on the other side, the CRM side, and obviating the need for MS Dynamics or other CRM. You mentioned, Simon, the sort of things that fall into the gaps where people, councils buy systems. Is there enough of that, what you're doing and other gaps, that it's worth replicating this? Is there enough similarity in the workflows and the logic and the processing with councils to have an open source solution that does, to basically build on what you've done, create some other workflows and have that all within Drupal without needing a separate CRM?
I mean, I think it would be valuable to get it into the LocalGov Drupal ecosystem. Certainly when I worked in a council, I would have liked a solution like this for all sorts of problems. And the code is currently, it's quite bespoke. It's not massively bespoke to Walsall. It will need some unpicking. But the very basic, the core fields on that process entity are really about, associating web forms to an entity, having that state field to control it. Then you can define, on top of that, you can define it for your process, whatever additional fields of data you need, whatever other logic you need to be putting in, how many forms you need to associate it with, that's all down to the people designing the process.
Amazing.
I was going to say, you did look at, so like a lot of the custom stuff that looks custom like that, the form for changing the state, it really is an entity form and it's the form mode for the entity for approve. So actually we could make it just so that anyone can drag and drop what fields they want onto it and problem solved. And you did look at ECA for doing some of that stuff, was it?
I mean, ECA, if you want to get non-developers using it, yeah, ECA is maybe good. It's a bit of a learning curve to the UI a bit, but
remind us what ECA is.
Event Condition Action. So rules on steroids.
I have to say, when the last one came up and there was a bit of experimental ECA integration, and I looked at it and I just kind of went, I'm going to write this in PHP because it's going to take me 1/10 of the amount of time, and it's actually going to be about 20 lines of PHP. So